Just want to begin by saying to everyone, happy welcoming week. I want to thank our fantastic county executive, Mr. Chris Ronayne, and his unbelievably dynamic team for all their support throughout the year, and especially for moments like this when we can all come together. Have to acknowledge that we are on the Refugee Response Farm, which is stewarded and loved and cared for by Patrick Kearns and his fantastic team, and you're going to hear from them. So as we begin this conversation, I just want to set the table a little bit and thank Chris and thank Patrick for all their great work. My name is Joe Simperman. I'm the president of Global Cleveland, and we are here in the middle of Welcoming Week. Welcoming Week is an effort across the country where cities acknowledge the immigrant, refugee, international newcomer, secondary migrant, international student, person born outside the U.S. living within their city borders, right? And this happens throughout our country, and I think that we do it best here in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. So often, and you're going to hear this a little bit today, we hear about the struggles and the challenges that many of our newcomers have. And this week is about that, but it's also about the hope and the aspiration and the celebration of the international newcomers who make Cleveland and Cuyahoga County great. When Welcoming Week began at Global Cleveland 5 years ago, we wanted to make it very intentional. How do we engage people from all over the world, from all different groups that are coming, and from all different levels and layers of the international newcomer community? I'm thrilled that two people who helped us begin Welcoming Week are here today, and that's our board chair, Joe Marinucci, the chair of Global Cleveland, as well as the county representative to the Global Cleveland board, Mr. Matt Carroll. These are individuals that have seen this week grow, and we're just so thrilled that here in year 5, in the middle of the week with moment number 4 in a week of 15 of Welcoming Week, that we're here at the Refugee Response Farm. This work is really important, and the work that's important often happens behind the scenes. When I think about the people who are engaged in refugee resettlement alone, Refugee Response at the top of the list, along with Asia and Building Hope, and our 3 refugee resettlement agencies, Catholic Charities, United States Committee on Refugees and Immigrants, and our newest refugee resettlement partner, May Dugan, which was just recently announced by the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society of continuing an over 130-year tradition of resettling people here in Northeast Ohio. When I look at the audience, though, I have memories. I think about when Patrick Kearns and Refugee Response asked for support in a legal clinic that they had when we were trying to help people who were fleeing Kabul. And with Global Cleveland's support and the great work of Catholic Charities and Refugee Response, we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that happen. I think about the legal clinics that happened recently when our Ukrainian sisters and brothers, who didn't even have status at that point, they weren't even classified as refugees, had the support of so many people in our community, like Mayor Blackwell from Maple Heights and Mayor DeGeeter from Parma, as we all work together. And I think about the 15 international students that we met with last night here in the neighborhood to talk to them about how do we convince them to stay in Northeast Ohio after they graduate. Today, we are standing on a site that at one time was housing. And I think about this because I think about the work of the county executive that began way before he took the office in the county. This was land that Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority had houses on, and the houses were unstable. And every one of the families that lived here was successfully relocated either on the near west side or the near east side, but the question became, what do you do with the land? And I'm looking at Amanda Dempsey today, who used to work at the city of Cleveland, and when Matt Carroll was the health director, this land was determined to be a farm. And who stood up for that moment? Refugee Response. It shows time and again the way that we do welcoming best is when we work together and we do so collaboratively. Collaboration may as well be Chris Ronayne's middle name. When I met him 26 years ago at the Sportsman Deli, and I had the corned beef and eggs, and he, of course, had the fruit cup, I knew then that he was here for the long term in the marathon. But under his leadership, Cuyahoga County has proven time and again to work hard to make sure language access is key, to make sure that the workforce is key for hiring international newcomers. And he actually does something that oftentimes elected officials are afraid to do. He says the word refugee. He talks about immigrants. He welcomes our sisters and brothers from around the world because he knows that's what makes Cleveland great. Our county executive has been involved in a lot of things, including making sure that the land just to the north of us is stable with the Irishtown Bend. And again, he proves to all of us that he is not just a county executive for the past, but he is a county executive for the future. Please allow me to welcome our very own county executive, Mr. Christopher Maximus Aurelius Ronayne.
I was told to turn on the power. So there we go. Hey, let's give it up again for Joe Simperman and Global Cleveland. They are everywhere, and also to Joe Marinucci, the chair. I think there isn't a week that goes by in Cleveland where I don't see Team Global Cleveland somewhere. I want to reflect on 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were at One World Day in the Cultural Gardens, and it was 47 different communities from around the world gathered in the gardens to process on a day that brought all together, the world together in Cleveland. And who was there at the end of the parade to welcome all was Global Cleveland. And who was there at the lead of Global Cleveland to welcome with the team all? Joe Simperman, who, as I said later in a social media post, I believe said hello in every language spoken by every delegate that had come through. So here's to you, Joe, and here's to Team Global Cleveland. I also am really, really excited to be with Refugee Response today. And I want to say it was great to be out with you at Urban Community School to see what you do when we welcomed our Newcomer Navigators program. And to those who are in the field, in the trenches, welcoming newcomers, it means everything. The words that Joe uttered, and I'm just going to stay on his script for a minute. Immigrants built Cleveland, Ohio. We are a city of immigrants. We are a city that welcomes. We are a city that brings in those who need refuge. I live that direct experience, as many of you do if you peel back a few layers of the onion in your own family tree. My father-in-law came to the United States and ultimately to Ohio. And when he arrived here, he told me this story, and he's told it to me many times. He forgets how many times he's told me this. The very first thing he ever got was the assistance of someone here on this soil who literally helped him make a phone call to a relative who was to receive him in this country. He was welcomed. My stepfather came over from war-torn Europe. As a kid, he was 7 years old, early traumatized by World War II. He arrived by ship in the New York harbor, and the very first thing that he witnessed was, and he was recipient of, was a stick of chewing gum from somebody on the docks of the New York harbor. He'd never had a stick of chewing gum. But that's welcoming. Someone who helps you make a call to a family, somebody who lends a hand and maybe a stick of chewing gum. That was their experience as immigrants who went on to raise their families here in Cleveland. Let us never forget, we come from immigrants. Let us welcome the next generation of immigrants. I'm glad to be back at the farm. Patrick, I met you here with the mayor of Los Angeles years ago, and it was interesting to hear the mayor of Los Angeles in a conversation he had with somebody here at the farm about a Bhutanese village that he had lived in as a student, and how that same person in the farm knew where that Bhutanese village was. These urban farms connect the world. The entire world comes together in a place like this. And if we think about it, Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, we are the world. So we're here today to celebrate the invaluable contributions of immigrants and refugees to our vibrant community here in Cuyahoga County. There is no place more fitting to be than here at the Ohio City Farm, a staple of our community, run by Refugee Response and the CMHA. I'm so grateful that Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority is celebrating in the upcoming weeks its 90th anniversary in our community. By the way, that is where my stepfather first stepped into, was CMHA Housing, that helped him right down the street at Lakeview Terrace and helped him get his footing and helped him ultimately get on to raise a family. So CMHA, we are glad to be your neighbor here in the Ohio City neighborhood. This is Cleveland's largest urban farm, and it's fed this community since 2010. It's helped people make friends in this community. It's helped people go on in this community to do great things. As Patrick reminded me, this is not only Cleveland's largest working urban farm, but it is the longest standing urban farm in this country. It's persevered. It's persevered. So thank you to those at Refugee Response and CMHA and all the partners referenced for what you do here. I want to shout out the fantastic work of Refugee Response and what you're doing in this community ever since 2009. Founders David Wallace and Paul Neuendorfer took their learnings and traveling from around the world to provide more than 700 refugees a year with mentorship and support. The county is proud to have partnered with Refugee Response, and we're just getting going. But we're proud to have already partnered with Refugee Response to develop the Newcomer Navigator program, which connects international newcomers with services that already exist in our community, but people just need to find access to. Launched just last year, this program has already served 100 families in Cuyahoga County, newcomers that now have a foot in Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you, Refugee Response, for your partnership and what you do. Welcoming Week, as Joe referenced, is not just a week on our calendar. It is a symbol of who we are, of unity, diversity, and compassion. Welcoming Week, for our members of the press, this is a national week where we as Americans welcome brothers and sisters from around the world. It is a time when we come together as one community here in Cleveland to reaffirm our commitment to welcoming all individuals. And I do again want to thank Global Cleveland for really putting us on a map as a welcoming community, regardless of where people are born, regardless of their ethnicity or their cultural background. It is a reminder that at our core, we are a land of immigrants, and that diversity is not a threat, but rather a source of strength and resilience. In Cuyahoga County, we've been fortunate to welcome people from more than 120 unique nationalities. Just take a ride or a walk through Rockefeller Park and the Cultural Gardens, and you know what I'm talking about. From all corners of the world, they've come to Cleveland, Ohio. These newcomers bring with them unique experiences, talents, and perspectives that enrich our lives in countless ways. I've said time and time again, immigrants build jobs. 20% of new businesses in this country are started by a first-generation immigrant. They've become our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, our employers, and they have made our country a better place to live. One of the most beautiful aspects of welcoming immigrants and refugees is the way they breathe life into our communities. They open restaurants that introduce to us new flavors and cuisines. They create businesses that drive economic growth, and they bring their cultural traditions, festivals, and celebrations to our neighborhoods, enhancing the tapestry of our local culture. What are we but a mosaic of immigrants? Moreover, immigrants and refugees often fill critical roles in our workforce, contributing their skills and expertise to various industries. They've become doctors, nurses, engineers, educators, and entrepreneurs, making significant contributions to our local economy. They start families here, and their children attend our schools, and they become active members of our civic life and our social fabric. We must acknowledge the resilience and courage of immigrants and refugees. Many of them have faced unimaginable challenges and hardships in their pursuit of safety and a better life for themselves and their family. They bring with them the determination and perseverance that have been a foundation of our nation's success for centuries. I've gone on a lot about immigrants because we believe in you. We believe in you because you took a chance on us, and we take a chance on you. Welcoming Week is not just about recognizing past contributions of immigrants and refugees. As Joe said, it's about looking toward the future. It is about ensuring that our county remains a place where everyone feels welcome, valued, and supported, more important than ever. To remember, we are one community. It's about continuing to create opportunities for newcomers to thrive and share their talents with us. Look around the world at successful cities, and you will find they are successful in large part because they have welcomed immigrants. That is why Cuyahoga County is well on its way, and this is point one for our team in the press, to becoming certified welcoming, as deemed by a national organization, Welcoming America. You've done the work. Thank you. Welcoming America believes that welcoming places have intentional, inclusive policies and practices and norms that enable residents to live and thrive and contribute fully. Once we receive this designation, certified welcoming, and we would be just one of 18 cities and counties across the U.S. that would be certified welcoming. We would be the 4th county in the United States and the largest county in Ohio to have this designation. I also applaud the city of Dayton and Lucas County for being welcoming leaders too. I believe former Mayor Nan Whaley was in this farm with us when we brought the mayor of LA here. Part of this work means breaking down barriers that prevent immigrants and refugees from fully participating in our society. We must provide access to healthcare, social services, economic development to help people get a leg up and to help them integrate successfully. That's the nature of the Newcomer Navigator program. More often than not, newcomers don't know where to go to get connected to resources, but just need somebody to help guide them. That's why we have plans in motion, and this is part two for our members of the press, to open a multi-service center for immigrants, refugees, and limited English speakers to serve as a one-stop shop for access to government and community services. Welcoming places have welcoming centers. Stay tuned. At this center, folks can be connected to resources like workforce training, educational services, healthcare, legal support services, housing, public benefits access, language services, and economic development. Please stay tuned on this. Our Department of Consumer Affairs and its Scam Squad partners will continue to help newcomers avoid government imposters and arrest scams targeting them in their native languages, people who prey on those who are simply trying to learn our language. Cheryl, thank you for your team at Cuyahoga County for being here today from the Department of Consumer Affairs. To David Merriman, Sabrina Roberts, and many others who've worked for years with the Department of Health and Human Services, it is hard not to admire the work you're doing to help our immigrants. I would be remiss if I didn't thank also Matt Carroll. Thank you, Matt. He's been a leader from our shop at Cuyahoga County with Global Cleveland. And Tina Coleman, you've both dedicated yourself to fostering an environment of diversity and inclusion here in Cuyahoga County. Thank you. I wanted to thank Amanda Dempsey, too, who's with me today because she's been here from the very beginning with our partners in Ohio City. She made a special trip out of the office to be here today. Welcoming Week is a reminder that we are stronger and more vibrant as a community and a county when we welcome and support those who come to our shores seeking a better life. Today, we stand together in solidarity to advocate for programs and policies that promote inclusivity and create welcoming in a county where everyone can prosper and contribute to the continued success of our beloved Cuyahoga County. I want to thank my friend Devin. It's her last day on the job, but these are heartfelt remarks that we together put together because, and we go a little long, because we believe in immigrants. We believe that Cuyahoga County is one Cuyahoga. We believe that this place matters as a place that's a showcase to the world because it is the world, that it truly is a destination. And if we work it, and we work our partners around town to work it, we can be a truly global Cleveland, as Global Cleveland so often works on. And I want us to be one Cuyahoga. Today I say, we, in the full collective, we are Cuyahoga. Thank you for the work you do, Refugee Response, Global Cleveland, and all the partners, and thank you for my team at Cuyahoga County for the efforts you put forth. I appreciate also the members of the media here today for this important message that this county is poised to be a county that is truly a global county. Thank you. We are Cuyahoga.
So right behind us is the area that they call the Irishtown Bend. And we know that in the coming years, this 26 acres of green space is going to turn into a vibrant metro park. It's called the Irishtown Bend because it's a legacy of immigration. And this farm that we're on today continues that legacy of immigration because it's run by people from all over the world. As I often like to say, we have the best farm team in the world because they're from all over the world. My name is Patrick Kearns. I'm Executive Director of the Refugee Response. Very proud to be here with you today. I want to thank Chris for being here. I want to thank his team, who we've been working with closely for the past year. And one thing that I think is really critical to understand about this county executive and his team is it's not just the talk. It's not just the words. It's not just the language of welcoming. It's the action, right? They got on board and they funded the Newcomer Navigator program, which is making a real difference. It is literally changing people's lives. People that didn't know they had access to programs, didn't know how to connect to jobs, didn't know how to get childcare. Now we are making that available to them, often for the first time. It's game changing. It's allowing people to be here. Our organization, we've been around 13 years. We run 8 different programs. We're reaching over 1,000 individuals per year right now through our programs, working with kids, working with families, and working in partnership with our great organizations in the city like Global Cleveland, who is here today, that does so much of the work broadcasting what this city and what this county can be and how it can welcome the newcomers here. We work through the Refugee Services Collaborative, that's 15 different agencies, working cross sectors to make sure that when people get here, they not only arrive, but they thrive. And that is our role and what I think is so critical. When people get here, what is going to allow them to not only stay here, not only find that first job, but to make Cuyahoga County a home that can be successful for themselves and their children in the future. We know that our friends and our families, they come here and they sacrifice for their kids. And one of the greatest indicators of success is what happens to that second generation. Today, you're going to hear from some of my good friends and our colleagues at Refugee Response, 3 different stories of immigration, 3 different stories of success in Cuyahoga County, and I'm excited to introduce them to you. We see this area as the future. We see Cuyahoga County as having the potential to keep on being welcoming and inclusive. This area we're standing used to be housing, and next year it's going to be a global farmers market that is introducing access to newcomer growers and newcomer food producers and putting this on the map, building economic opportunities for this city and for newcomers on this same plot of land that used to be public housing, that where the Irish immigrants, when they first showed up and lived here, where they called home. We have a future for this place, and it's done in close partnership with our friends at Global Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. I'm going to introduce my 3 friends who I think we really need to hear from today. You're going to hear from Thomas Kate, Nelson Baguma, and Lilia Markova. I'm sorry, Lilia, I practiced that 5 times. Lilia Markova. So you'll hear from them and hear a little bit about their history and their stories of how they came here. And it is my pleasure to introduce my good friend, Thomas Kate.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Chris and the Cuyahoga County and the team that make this event happen. My name is Thomas Kate. I was a resettled refugee from Burma, lived in Thailand as a refugee for 12 years. My family and myself, we resettled in United States October 26, 2010, landed in New York City. I live in the Bronx in New York City about 3 months. And we don't like the city. We moved to Cleveland. It's a welcoming city. On February 1st, 2011, by supporting with the community-based community, my friends, the founder of the Refugee Response, David Wallace and Paul Nadufer, was my teacher when I was in refugee camp. And we found a place to call home. Me and my family now, we live in Lakewood. We own a house. And myself, I support the community member, Korean people who live in the community as a church and community leader. And it's a really good place to live in here. And I have 2 daughters and 1 son. My older daughter studies at Cleveland State University right now, and my younger daughter is sophomore student at St. Joseph Academy. And my son is kindergarten at Irby Community School. And myself work as the program coordinator for the Refugee Response since the beginning of the organization. So it's about 12 to 13 years now. And I want to say thank you to the county and make the people welcome here. And lastly, I want to say that Cleveland, Cuyahoga is a welcoming city. For example, a Korean community who used to live in Nebraska, Omaha, relocated to my city here, stay with us. Furthermore, a couple of refugee people from another state visited us and said, "Oh, your city is lovely. Your city is nice. We have the support." They tried to relocate here too, and we stay working on that now. Thank you very much.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nelson Baguma, and thank you guys for having me here. So I'm Nelson Baguma, and I work as a mentor and tutor at the Refugee Response, supporting refugee students at John Marshall. 4 years ago, my family and I started a new adventure, leaving the warmth of Uganda to the unknown in Cleveland, Ohio. We arrived here in the summer of 2019, and the weather here was as welcoming as the people. After 15 years in Ugandan schools, I got the opportunity to graduate high school from Lakewood High School, and I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer science at Tri-C. The education here, top notch. The support, exceptional. It feels like I have a whole cheering squad behind me. I want to thank Cuyahoga community and the county because it's very welcoming, and When we arrived here with my family, the welcome we received felt like a family reunion. And the kindness I received, it felt like a winter snowfall. Maybe not that much, but close. Thank you so much, Cuyahoga community, for welcoming us and my family. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Lilia and I'm Ukrainian. I came here 1 year ago on September the 2nd, 2022. I was born and raised in Ukraine. I ran my business, my language school, where I worked as an English teacher and a translator. But unfortunately, on February 24th, 2022, Russia attacked and started the war in Ukraine. That day changed life of lots of Ukrainian people. We decided to leave our country. My family and I moved to Poland. We had been staying there for 6 months, waiting and hoping for the end of the war. After half of the year being in Poland, we decided to go to the USA, Ohio State. Luckily, I have my mom, who's been living in Cuyahoga County for almost 9 years. That's why we are here and we are very happy to be here. I was hired by Refugee Response Organization for the position of ESL teacher. I work mostly with Ukrainian teenagers at the Valley Forge High School in Parma. To tell you the truth, there are many people, there are many kids, because Parma is one of the biggest Ukrainian communities. My 5-year-old daughter has started kindergarten this year, and she really enjoys it. She feels how supportive and helpful the school staff is. We are very grateful for welcoming and supporting us. We're thankful for all the support and help that people give us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the wonderful presenters. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you mostly to our friends from Ukraine and Thailand and Uganda for choosing Cleveland. So thank you. You could be anywhere in the world with your genius, but you're right here on West 24th and Bridge. One of the programs that was referred to was the county's incredible support of over $1 million in the budget last year for refugees, the first time in the history of Cuyahoga County that money was ever allocated. And the county executive wanted me to make sure that with the leadership at the county, it comes in all forms. And we're so fortunate to be joined by our county council person, Marty Sweeney, who's here today, who's been swinging for the fences on this too. Marty, thank you for helping with Global Cleveland and our county to make a program like this possible. Over 100 families, that's incredible. As we conclude, as we do our always during Welcoming Week, there are more events that are happening throughout the week and throughout today. Later on, there will be a program to talk about how individuals can get their H-1B visas, how they can stay here in Northeast Ohio, our ascendant geniuses that are here, and that's on the globalcleveland.com website. I also want to just take a second again and thank all the staff of Refugee Response who helped make today possible, who brought this all together. I want to, of course, thank the team that the county executive has assembled. It's a great team and a team that really cares. Of course, CMHA for allowing us to be here today, and mostly to the county executive, thank you for seeing us. I said to you, and I know sometimes I tease you, but I think you said the word immigrant and refugee, and you've done more in the last 6 months than we've seen by some folks who've been in elected office for their whole life. So county executive, to you and your team, we're grateful. To the people who make this all possible, our refugees and our immigrants, thank you. To Refugee Response, thank you. This program is concluded, but I believe that our individuals will be available for press immediately after. Thank you all very much.